A single envelope, hand-delivered to St. James's Palace at dawn, has ignited whispers that the Crown is positioning its quietest prince for a move that could rewrite the Windsor rulebook. The message inside, witnesses claim, thanked the Duke of Edinburgh for accepting the burden of nocturnal council language usually reserved for a regent-in-waiting, not a 14th-in-line spare. If that phrase sounds arcane, consider why it matters. The modern monarchy is running on a skeleton crew. Harry and Meghan are in California, Andrew is in exile, Catherine is recovering, and Charles is fighting cancer while insisting he will never abdicate. Someone must pick up the weight of state dinners, investitures, and sudden crises. Insiders say Edward now carries the nuclear-ed dispatch box twice a week. The story of how a one-time theatre producer nicknamed the Wessex who evolved into the King's emergency lieutenant begins with a dinner for three at Sandringham last Christmas. Charles, William, and Edward allegedly shared partridge, turned off their phones, and divided the next decade's duties with military precision. William kept global soft power projects, Edward accepted homefront resilience, veterans, Commonwealth ties, and the gnarly constitutional chores most royals avoid. Data points prove the shift. Court circular entries list Edward at 219 engagements in 12 months, a 71% spike. Google Trends shows searches for Duke of Edinburgh duties up 430% since February. His patronage portfolio has ballooned from 70 charities to 147, including the Royal Marines leadership course his father once oversaw. Even his social clout is changing. TikTok clips of Edward comforting a tearful D-Day widow surpassed 2 million views in 48 hours. Sophie, meanwhile, has become the monarchy's stealth diplomat. Her trip to the Democratic Republic of Congo, arranged in total secrecy, produced the first bilateral human rights accord signed by a British royal since 1997. Analysts say that success convinced Charles the Edinburghs could handle missions too sensitive for headline royals. Yet there is tension. Queen Camilla's court worries the couple's popularity could eclipse hers just as she secures the title she waited decades for. A leaked guest list draft for next spring's Commonwealth banquet showed Edward and Sophie placed immediately after Charles and Camilla ahead of Anne until the order mysteriously reverted at 3 a.m. The palace blamed formatting errors, but a veteran herald muttered, "Hierarchy doesn't slip by accident." Whispers also swirl about the so-called Velvet Council, a confidential panel of 5 royals empowered to act if the king needs prolonged treatment. Names floated include Edward as chair, Sophie for outreach, the Duchess of Gloucester for continuity, the Lord Chamberlain for protocol, and William's private secretary for liaison. No document confirms the council, yet a respected constitutional lawyer told me, if it doesn't exist on paper, that's only because it has already moved off paper and into muscle memory. Ill health sharpened the stakes. During Charles's February hospital stay, Edward was photographed leaving Marlborough House after midnight with the cabinet secretary. The official line said they discussed community volunteer recognition, but the following morning Edward signed off emergency flood relief in Shropshire, a duty normally reserved for the sovereign. Backstage, courtiers say William is relieved. He trusts Edward, a relationship rebuilt after years of cool distance. Sources recall a 1990s rift when Edward's TV company filmed university students without royal clearance, causing William to bristle. That frost thawed when Edward drove to Norfolk during the 2021 lockdown, bringing William archival letters from Philip about balancing heirs and spares. The brothers allegedly talked until sunrise, a moment William now cites as the night the dynasty breathed. Not everyone applauds. Princess Anne privately fears the slimming down mantra excludes loyal stalwarts. She reportedly told aides, "Lean bodies topple in a strong wind." Some aides to Prince Andrew push the line that his service record dwarfs Edward's and that the media is rewriting history. A late-night tweet from a royal-adjacent account implied, certain dukes win favor by staying silent, others by facing fire. It was deleted within minutes. Conspiracy forums add color. One alleges Edward has already rehearsed a midnight oath with the Archbishop of Canterbury in the event cyberattacks cut communications. Another claims MI6 discovered a plot to deepfake Charles's voice. Edward chaired the counterintel briefing because William was in Singapore for Earthshot. None of this is verified, but the chatter feeds a sense that quiet corridors now hum with contingency plans. Even fashion tells tales. At Trooping the Colour, Edward wore the tiniest of lapel pins, crossed oak leaves in platinum Prince Philip's cipher recast. Camilla's team noticed. Within a week her dressmaker added oak leaf embroidery to her ascot coat. Tabloids spun a rivalry over iconography, but historians saw symbolism, the consort invoking Philip's legacy, the brother wearing it. Edward's transformation resonates abroad. Canadian premiers lobbying for a royal tour were told Ottawa prefers the Duke of Edinburgh, citing his hands-on approach. In Australia, Republican MPs complained that Edward's charity work in bushfire zones softened monarchist arguments. Polls there show a 2-point uptick in support for retaining the crown after his visit. Inside Buckingham, the Edinburghs moved offices closer to the king's. Staff corridors once labelled Wessex now read Edinburgh Suite, signalling permanency. A new private secretary, Lt Col Jasper Houghton, a former cyberdefense strategist, was poached from GCHQ, the first time a non-combat tech specialist has served a royal household. Courtiers whisper the hire matches Edward's role overseeing digital resilience for the firm. Sophie's circle is changing too. Her lady-in-waiting, formerly a local magistrate, has been replaced by a Commonwealth trade expert fluent in Arabic and Mandarin. Rumour says Sophie will lead the UK delegation at next year's Women in Business Summit in Riyadh, a task that could have gone to Catherine but for her recuperation schedule. Finances underline the shift. Duchy of Cornwall accounts reveal a £3 million transfer tagged Edinburgh Transition Fund, earmarked for project staff. Conservative MPs grumble that taxpayers should approve new royal budgets. Treasury officials counter the money is privately earned duchy surplus and fully audited. Either way, Edward now controls resources rivaled only by the Wales household. The prince himself remains understated. Asked by a schoolchild if he'd like to be king one day, he laughed, "Goodness, no, I've got enough homework already." But seconds later he added, more firmly, "We all serve in the way we're asked." Body language analysts noted a micronod, a signal of acceptance rather than jest. Why is all this intrigue vital? Because monarchy survives on narrative. Charles needs a storyline that assures continuity without hastening his exit. William needs time to raise his children away from unrelenting spotlight. Edward offers that middle lane, familiar, unthreatening, quietly competent. If the public buys the narrative, the crown glides. If not, every health wobble or cyber scare becomes a referendum on relevance. So keep watching balcony lineups, seating charts at state banquets, insignia on service dress, and who accompanies the king to the cenotaph. Each detail is a breadcrumb in the larger tale of succession management. Edward's rise may never be trumpeted, but it could be the hinge on which this reign quietly turns. Tap like if you relish decoding royal subtext, subscribe for more inside signals wrapped in velvet protocol, and join us next time when we reveal the classified map hidden in Philip's naval chest, marking estates earmarked for an emergency royal retreat in Northumberland, a location so secret its coordinates were memorized, not typed. Until then, watch the oak leaves, they rustle before a storm.